Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our new unit on fractions and decimals. You should have a note sheet for tonight's lesson. This is Generate Equivalent Fractions, Part 1. If you don't have your note sheet, print one or pause the video to go take it out now. For this unit, we're going to learn how you can demonstrate what you know about fractions and decimals by reasoning about their value. And in this lesson, you're going to learn how to use models in multiplication to show fraction equivalence. Let's start with the review of what we know about fractions. Remember that a fraction represents part of a whole. The numerator is the top number. It tells how many parts are shaded. And the denominator is the bottom number. It tells how many parts in total. If I were to draw a picture of this fraction, 1/4 or 1/4, I would have one whole split into 4 pieces, and I would have one of those 4 pieces shaded to show 1/4. Go ahead and pause the video to complete the vocabulary definitions on your sheet. Then replay to keep going. So what are equivalent fractions then? Let's think about this. Joe cut a pan of brownies into third-side pieces. He kept 1/3 and gave the rest away. Joe will not eat his part all at once. How can he cut his part into smaller equal-sized pieces? In both of these pictures, you see 1/3. You also have these pictures on your sheet. If Joe kept 1/3 of the brownies for himself and gave the rest away, he may decide to cut those brownies in half and save half at a time. In this case, Joe actually has 2 pieces of brownie now instead of 1, but the whole pan of brownies is no longer 3 pieces, but 6, showing me 1/3 is equal to 2/6. What if Joe decided to cut his brownie into 4 equal pieces? In that case, instead of 1 piece, Joe would have 4 pieces of brownie. What fraction of the pan would Joe have now? Did you say 4/12? If so, great job. Notice Joe has 4 pieces now, but there are 12 in the whole pan. So he has 4/12. This shows us that 1/3 is equal to 2/6, which is also equal to 4/12. Equivalent fractions are fractions that show equal amount in different sized pieces. In all of these circles, you see the same amount, 1/2. In this first picture, 1/2 is shown by 1 red piece and 1 white piece. In this second one, I have 2 shaded pieces and 4 total. In the next one, I have 3 shaded pieces out of 6 total pieces. And in this last one, I have 4 shaded pieces out of 8 total pieces, showing me that 1/2 is equivalent to 2/4, 3/6, or 4/8. I can see that again in this example where I have 2 out of 3 shaded fraction pieces and 4 out of 6 shaded fraction pieces, showing me that these two amounts show the same amount and are equal. Now let's look at another example. Patty needs 3/4 cup of dish soap to make homemade bubble solution. Her measuring cup is divided into 1/8. What fraction of her measuring cup should Patty fill with dish soap? I know that she needs 3/4 cup of dish soap. I know that Patty is going to use a measuring cup in 1/8 instead of 4ths. I can easily find this equivalent fraction with the model showing 3/4. To make fourths into eighths, I have to cut each slice in half. That gives me 6/8. So 3/4 is equivalent to 6/8. I can also show 3/4 is equivalent to 6/8 using multiplication. 4 times 2 is 8. When I cut each slice in half, I in fact multiplied by 2. By doing that, my shaded fraction, or my numerator of 3 slices, was also multiplied by 2 to give me 6/8. Try it for this. You have this on your sheet. Go ahead and see if you can fill in the equivalent amounts. I have 1/2 is equivalent to 3/6. I can show that through multiplication because 2 times 3 equals 6 and 1 times 3 equals 3. Here I have 1/2, and using my model, I can see that it is equal to 4/8. 2 times what will give me 8? It's 4. Since I multiplied the denominator by 4, I will also multiply the numerator by 4 to show 4/8. And finally, 1/2 is equal to 5/10. If I start with a half, to turn it into tenths, I had to multiply by 5. 1 times 5 is 5, showing me 5/10. Let's make 4 equivalent fractions to 2/3. Of course, we could draw our model for 2/3 and shade in 2 slices, and then cut those slices each time. Or we could simply use multiplication. If I have 2/3 and I cut each slice in half, that's like multiplying by 2. 2 times 2 is 4, and 3 times 2 is 6. So 2/3 is equivalent to 4/6. I could also take my 2/3 and cut each one into 3 equal slices. 2 times 3 is 6, and 3 times 3 is 9. So 2/3 is equivalent to 6/9. I could take that same 2/3 and I could cut each one into 5 pieces. 2 times 5 is 10, and 3 times 5 is 15. So 2/3 is equal to 10/15. And since I'm really good at my tens facts, I'm going to go ahead and say that in my 2/3, I cut each piece into 10 tiny little pieces, giving me 20/3. And 20/3 is equal to 2/3. So 2/3 is the same as 4/6, which is also the same as 6/9, and 10/15, and finally 20/30. Now try this. Are these fractions equivalent or not? 2/5 and 6/10. Let's see. If I do 5 times 2, I get 10. If I do 2 times 2, do I get 6? I don't. That means these are not equivalent or not equal, shown by the equal sign with the slash through them. How about here? I can't multiply by 4 to get 1 or 12 to get 3, but I can multiply by 3 to get 12. 3 times 4 is 12. Is 1 times 4 4? It is. That shows these fractions are equal or equivalent. Try that last one. What do you think? 6 times 2 is 12. 5 times 2 is 10. These fractions are also equal. What about missing numbers? Let's start over here first. I can see I need to multiply 4 times something to get my missing number. Well, 2 times what is 8? Since 2 times 4 is 8, if I multiply 4 times 4, I get 16, showing me 8/16. 10 times 4 is 40. So 5 times 4 should give me my missing number, which is 20. Now I saved this one for last because we have to work backwards. In this problem, I know that 6 times 3 is 18. So I need to think what number times 3 is 3. And in this case, that answer is 1. So 1/6 is the same as 3/18. How did you do? Are you ready for your check? If not, go back and look at the examples in this video again. It's time for you to complete the check. Remember to go online and do the quiz questions. Write the questions from the quiz on your notebook paper with your notes and bring them to class. We'll start by reviewing these problems first thing tomorrow in class. Have a good night.